Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Fishing 101. You guys asked for it and you got it. We're gonna be talking about surf fishing, jetty pier fishing, and kayak fishing. And I'm gonna cover everything you wanna know, from when to go fishing, where to go, find the right location, what bait, lure choices you're gonna have, and what kind of gears I'm using. Also, plus couple tips and tricks for you for fishing. Stay tuned, it's gonna be a great one. I hope it helps you out. Enjoy. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is Connor, your YouTube fisherman, back here with another video for you. And today we're gonna cover all sorts of fishing. I'm gonna be talking about surf fishing, beach fishing, jetty pier fishing, and then touch upon a little bit of a kayak fishing because I already done so many videos. You guys know what I use, whatnot. But if you're new to my channel, if you are new again, welcome. Thanks for joining in. But I'm gonna go over the kayak fishing just a little bit so you can skip through the portions that you like. But I'm gonna start with the surf fishing and then go ahead and talk about pier jetty fishing right after that. As you guys know, I do go to Sebastian Inlet. I go to Jetty Park by Port Canaveral. So I do pier fishing, jetty fishing, not as often as kayak fishing or surf fishing, but I do it. So hopefully this video is going to help you out. It's basically fishing 101, what I use, what I take with me, what works, what doesn't work, and what's the best time to go fishing, what time, what kind of tide. And you got to look at the weather, obviously, check the reports. So I'm going to be talking all about that, And so let's dive it into the surf fishing first. For surf fishing, it's pretty simple for me. I basically go ahead and look at the weather conditions. Anything for me personally, again, it's a personal preference. Everybody's different. You have time, you don't have time. Those are the only times you could go fishing sometimes, regardless of the weather conditions. But that's how it goes, right? That's life. We all got something going on in our lives. But rule of thumb for me, I do not like going fishing on a southeast winds. It's just murky, nasty, dirty water. And then it really ruins your day. And whenever you have murky waters with the southeast winds, especially if it's more than 10 miles an hour, you're going to get catfish, sharks, and stingray. That's it. Maybe here and there you could catch something, obviously, by luck. But that's all it's going to be. It's going to be not good conditions, not a good fishing day. So I try to skip the southeast winds. East is okay, but my favorite, definitely west. Whenever west, I go fishing and I love that time because west is the best. I kind of say it that way because of the fact that west winds bring the clear water. Everything pushes out. We're on the east coast of Florida. So when you have the west winds, all the dirty, nasty water pushing out to the ocean, and then you have a nice clear beach in front of you. If you're casting like me, less than 100 yards, I cannot cast more than 100 yards, so that's no way. And that's what I do. I look for the west winds, north winds are okay. Some only east winds are okay. Again, less than 10 miles an hour. So that's what I look for when I want to go fishing. If I found those conditions, the next thing I check is the tide. The tide conditions are very important for me. The best time to surf fish, beach fishing is incoming tide, and you gotta go there first thing in the morning. You gotta work the incoming tide, moving water, high tide, and a little bit of the outgoing tide. That is the best time to go early in the morning. So if I have a high tide around 8, 9, 10, that's perfect, or even 7. You gotta be there 6:30. Right now, 6:15 is the first light. You gotta be there first light, set up everything. And when the water's moving in, incoming tide, if the high tide is 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, this is the best time for you to catch and capitalize on some nice pompano, whiting, redfish, sheepshead, black drum, Spanish mackerel, whiting, and some bluefish. You guys know I like me some bluefish, but that is the best time to go fishing on a surf fishing. And the next thing, obviously, I look for the location. Well, how do you pick the location? Well, I look for the high density zone areas, not the low density. What I mean by that is if you have, for example, Cocoa Beach, it's super flat. That's low, right? Low density. You don't want to fish there. There's just nothing, no elevation, no dips, no cuts, no pockets. It's just flat all the way out 100 yards. You could literally walk through 100 yards. It doesn't get deep. It doesn't change elevation. There's no structure, and you're not going to capitalize on a good fish. I mean, you might get lucky here and there passing by fish, but that's it. So definitely look for the high density zone areas. I try to go Playa Linda, New Smyrna, Ormond Beach, or all the way south to Melbourne, Satellite Beach. Right after Cocoa Beach, you start to kind of get a little elevation and some structure, and then all the way down to Sebastian, obviously. And you could go even more south on Sebastian because that is elevated right there. It's a high density surf fishing. So that's what I look for. Those are the areas that I fish, and it always works. Once you get these things going on and do your homework ahead of time, it really works. So you're at the beach now, you're fishing early in the morning, 6:30, right? You set up. How do you set up? What is your rig? What do you rig with? How do you know what to use? So like I said, I have all the tackles. For example, I got all the pompano rigs. That's what I use first. Depends on the water color, clarity. I change. These are the double hooks, regular pompano rigs. I get them from Rich, Pompano Rich. I have all the description down below. You could check him out. He is the best. He is the legend. You could get all that stuff from him. Whatever I use, he has them. But that's what I use. Simple 2-hook with some weights on it. Right there, floaters. Any color, depends on the water clarity again. I set up 1 or 2 rods with the pompano rig, and then I set up 1 rod with bluefish rig, which is the wire leader, and shank hook. I use that because of the fact that with this, I put a little frozen mullet, cut mullet. You could catch bluefish, black drum, redfish, Spanish, sharks. You could get all the other species that you're not going to be able to catch most likely with the pompano rig, because pompano rig, you're going to be catching, targeting for pompano and whiting mostly. So that's what I use on one of them because that makes it fun too. When I go do my fishing charters, fishing guide services, I definitely use that because the clients like to catch different kind of fish. They want action, they want variety. So I like that, when I add that bluefish rig. So definitely use that one. And for my tackle, it's very simple, doesn't break the bank. I highly recommend you guys this. This is the 12-footer H2OX metal. Yes, that's the name is. That's from the Academy Sport H2OX metal 12-footer. They have a 10 one, but I like the 12 one better because the tip is super sensitive. And the longer you have your rod, the further you're going to be able to cast. And that really helps me. I have them paired with the 5000 Shimano, and I use 15-pound braid. And after that, I just use the regular, the pompano rigs and everything. So I have a buffer in between, like a 2-footer, or you could even put a foot line, just kind of puts a little line. I put a 20-pound fluorocarbon leader before the pompano rig and right after the braid line. So that kind of helps it when you fight them with a fish. It really gets nice and stretched for you, like a little buffer zone, I call it for me. So that's what I do. And for weights, I use those Sputnik weights. Depends on the wave, depends on the current and the wind. If you have a lot of current, definitely use the Sputnik weights. Those are the ones that I use. Here it is. And right now, if you guys surf fish a lot, you guys know tung pond, tung tabs, they call it. These are different colors. If you see them, some white, some pink, some yellow, orange. And basically what it does is it puts a little more attraction on the water while you're fishing. It goes between your weight and your line right there. It kind of sits like that. You hook it up, and then it is super easy when you actually want to retrieve the spotnik, because it digs into the sand. The more you keep it there, the more it digs in. That's what it's intended for, these tabs. So basically what happens with the tabs, it really spirals when you retrieve your line from the water, and super easy to retrieve after that. It's amazing. You don't have to be jerking your rod or your line. You don't have to put too much pressure on it. It comes very easily off the sand and comes to you on top of the water. Literally goes on top of the water with these tabs. So I highly recommend you guys buy some. Very cheap, very reasonable price, and they're on the local shops. He has them available on any local bait shop, so you could check it out. I think Rich, Pompano Rich, also have him on his website. Like I said, I have him on the below description. Go ahead and check him out. It's just another aid to help you out, retrieve your line, and another extra attraction, right? For the fish to come out and check it out, and your bait is there, so it's kind of like floats on top. So that's what I use. And for bait, it's very easy. Pompano fishing, you gotta look for the best bait for me, live sand fleas, bar none. You gotta have sand fleas. You could also catch them yourself on the sand with the rack. You could buy it, and then on a high tide especially, they're over there, you see the sand kind of moving on the surface. That's where you're gonna target the sand flea. You're gonna put your rack, the wave comes in. As the wave goes out, you put your rack down and drag it under the sand. That's it. And you just clear it with the water. All the sand comes out and you see the sand fleas there. Very easy. You don't have to spend money on it. Of course, you could buy them too. You know, you don't want to spend time on that, but definitely sand fleas, live sand fleas, number one. Live shrimp or fresh shrimp, I don't really have to keep them live. I buy them live. I keep him. I don't have to aerate them, and I just use them fresh because they stay on the hook nice when it's fresh. I don't use frozen shrimp. They fall apart. They're nasty. You're gonna lose it. Don't waste your time on frozen shrimp. Don't use it. So definitely use fresh shrimp, and you could keep them live if you want, but you don't have to because you're gonna use them for a day, and they're gonna stay nice and fresh in the water anyways on your bucket. But that's my second one, definitely. And the third choice, a lot of people use squids, like little pieces. They cut them into little squares. You could use that as well. It puts a nice smell out there. And then, like I said, on my bluefish rig, I use the frozen mullet. I use that, and it works like a charm. I catch a lot of different variety of fish with that, and it becomes a nice day. You know, you're catching fish instead of just waiting for your line to go off. So, but that's what I do. And one little quick tip for you, I have these strings. You could order them on Amazon also, and you could check out all my Amazon links down below. I do get a little bit of commission, so it helps the channel, you know. So I appreciate if you do check them out. Everything that I use, definitely there, and I use them all the time. So I highly recommend you guys check them out. But this is the string that I use, super elastic right there, super thin. They can't even see it. Fish can't even detect that. So when I have a shrimp, when I put the shrimp on the hook, I kind of tie it all around with the hook, with the shrimp, and stays there for the longer time. So you have your hookup ratio much better while you're fishing out there and your bait is out there. So instead of, you know, you're losing your bait to crabs, you know, as you know, they're famous. They come and steal your bait. They're going to be on there for the longer time. That way you have a better chance of hooking up a good fish because you're using that string. So this is a little tip for you, a little trick. Definitely use that string. It's super inexpensive. You could get on Amazon. Definitely get one, put on your tackle bag. and that way you keep your bait longer and therefore you catch, more fish hopefully. So that is my setup. Very easy for the surf fishing. And then when it comes to pier and jetty fishing, I look for, again, high tide, incoming tide, and a little bit of the outgoing tide. The rule of the thumb is whenever you have moving water, that's the best time to fish. Water moves, fish moves. I'm going to talk about on the kayak fishing too. So whenever I fish the mangroves or anywhere that I fish with my kayak, I look for moving water, some kind of current moving in. As the water moves in, fish moves in, the bait moves, and the predator fish looks for that bait. They want to attack that bait. They want to ambush that bait. So that's every action. All the action is going to be right there in front of you when there's a moving water. So that's the key with the pier jetty fishing. I look for that time and I try to go as early as possible, because the more later you go, it gets hotter, especially in Florida that we're here. You're not going to have a good time. You're not going to catch as many as fish. Early morning or later in the afternoon is the best time to go pier jetty fishing on an incoming tide, high tide. That is the key. That is the time to go. And that's what I do when I go to Sebastian Inlet. And I always capitalize on a nice snook, shipset, black drum, bluefish, jacks. I got a huge jack there a couple times. So because that's the time the water's moving in and the fish is coming in into the inlet. So that's with the moving in, incoming. That's the name, incoming tide. It's coming in. So the all the bait fish there and the predators come in to feed at that time. And what I use is same thing as always as my kayak fishing setup. You could use 7 or 7/6 rods. I use medium light, and it works perfect. I put 15-pound braid, 20-pound fluorocarbon. If you're going for a bigger fish on the inlets, you could do 30-pound as well. 30-pound fluorocarbon. I wouldn't go anything higher than that because the fish sees it, especially if it's a clear water that day. You're not gonna have a good bite. So it's a, you gotta play that. It depends on what you want to do. You want to fight the fish, you want to catch the fish, you want to have more hookup ratio, definitely go lower on the fluorocarbon. I would go 20, 25 maybe, 30, over 30, 40, they're going to see the line. They're smart, especially snook are super smart. So, and then you could use, like for example, I have here an LBN mullet on a weedless hook set right there. That works perfect. I've been catching a lot of fish with this on my kayak, redfish, snook. They love that. So I use that on the jetty. That's my setup on the pier fishing. And also, of course, you have the best lures that you can use over there, spoons, right? I use a lot of spoons right here. You have different kind, different styles. Anytime you work that spoon, and you don't have to work it, you could just retrieve it just regularly. Spoon right there. The way it works, the way it shines, especially with the sunshine, you're gonna get lots of fish, lots of hookup. Bluefish, Spanish, jacks, anything, even snook, they bite on that. So I use a lot of spoons when I go to pier jetty fishing. But my go-to lure for pier and jetty fishing, even kayak fishing, is, I'm going to show you right here. That's it. Here it is. Oh yeah, baby. You know it. That's it. This is the gold. This is the gold. Gotcha lure is amazing. I work it. I use it all the time. I catch every single fish there is out there with the gotcha lure. With this one specifically, with the tail teaser and little bone color, I caught a 32-inch snook on my kayak trolling at Mosquito Lagoon. right here. That's it. So you catch anything, everything. I catch flounder, I catch bluefish, I catch Spanish, I catch redfish, I catch everything there is, I catch with gotcha lure is my number one choice. And another one that I use all the time, even kayak fishing, surf fishing especially, and then you could use it at the pier too. All three is goofy jig right here. Goofy jig with the teaser, it's amazing. You catch pompano, you catch whiting, you catch Spanish, you catch bluefish, you catch Spanish, you catch snook. It's crazy. I use this and I catch a lot of fish and lots of jacks too. Right here, it's already set up. One bottom jig right there. That's the pink color, and with a teaser smaller hook in the front. So it's two. And I caught fish with both, with the smaller one, with the bigger one. It's just the attraction. You just twitch it harder, hit the bottom, twitch really hard. You make that motion and boom, fish is on. From a kayak, I caught so many whiting with these. It was amazing. I'm like, wow, that's crazy. Within an hour, I caught maybe 10 whiting just right by the shore. I was like maybe 80 yards, 70 yards off the shore with my kayak around Cocoa Beach. Caught 10 whiting in an hour with the goofy jig alone. So like you said, like you see, I don't really use live bait. I always use artificial and always works, except other than the sand fleas, live sand fleas and live fresh shrimp on surf fishing. And it really works. It helps me a lot. And on my, lastly, the kayak fishing setup is very simple. Again, early morning, I start with the top water. Before sun comes up, 6:30 to 8:30, this is my go-to. This is the moonwalker. I walk the dog, hit it on the mangroves, and boom, fish on. If you guys been watching my videos, last two trip, I went down, I hooked up on huge snook twice and some redfish just with the top water. And what it does is it creates that motion, sound, attraction early in the morning. As you guys know, early in the morning, everything is nice and calm. So that is like a gold. It acts like a, injured bait. And especially if you see some bait around, but the key is work it right on the edge of the mangroves. Try to go in as much as possible without getting hung up, right? That's the kind of the problem. Not everybody can cast perfect all in there or skip it, especially top water is not easy. But if you try to do that 6:30 to 8:30, I'm telling you, you guys gonna get some crazy blow ups and hookups. Unbelievable. Like I did on my last video, check it out. It broke me off on the mangroves. It got me tangled up. It was a huge snook. I mean, huge. I couldn't even hold my kayak. I had to actually move up. He caught me around the corner and got tangled on the mangroves and broke the line and got off. So it happens when you work with the mangroves, obviously, but it's an amazing fun, unbelievable action. And I love that adrenaline, So definitely work it. And if you guys have cloudy day and a nice calm day without the waves and the wind, you could definitely work it all day. The top water works all day, depends on the condition. So if you're nice calm conditions with cloudy day, work it all day and you will catch a fish every time, I guarantee you. And the second setup will be after sun comes up is my pedal tail. Those are my go-to. This is the Mulligan 3.5 inch. I use this and it works like a charm. That's my dog, Lucky. But definitely pedal tail time after 8:30 when the sun comes up. And I work Fred, I work Slam Shady, different colors depending on the clarity of the water. If the water is clear, I work the lighter colors. If the water is murky, I work the darker colors with the little shine on it. So that's the rule of thumb for me. And it works just fine. And all day, like I said, after I work in the paddle tails, if I don't get a bite, I switch it, I match the hatch. I look at what's really around me as far as bait. Like last 2 times I went out, it was incredible amount of mullet. So what I did, I went with the NLBN mullet, right? Right there, boom, another setup. It's ready on my kayak. And this caught me so many redfish. It was crazy, and snook. Very easy setup. Again, weedless hook right there, Haas Helix hook. And you just set it up with the NLBN mullet and boom, fish on. Again, this is a 3000 Shimano. I got my Pan Squadron 3, medium light. I love it. You don't need nothing more than that. And my line's always either 10 pound or 15 pound braid and 20 pound fluorocarbon. I go higher, 30 pound fluorocarbon if I'm using the top water early in the morning, because the fish on top water, they don't see the line. You know, the Moonwalker top water just stays on the water, top of the water. So you could get away with the 30 pound, 40 pound fluorocarbon leader. And that way you could actually fight that big fish like I did. I did use 30 pound on the last one, still got me tangled up on the mangroves and broke me off. I mean, there's so much you could do, right? So, but that's it. This is my setup for surf fishing, jetty pier fishing, and kayak fishing. I hope this helps you guys out. If it did, please hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. I share all this information because I really want everybody else to catch a fish.